verses 352 to 354, from Chapter 2, verses 162 to 164. The yogin, while in his exercise, sees the form of the sun or the moon, or something looking like a lotus, or the underworld, or various forms like sky, fire, etc. All these appearances lead him to the way of the philosophers. They throw him down into the state of Shravakahood, into the realm of the Pratyeka Buddhas. When all these are tossed aside and there is a state of imagelessness, then a condition in conformity with Tathata presents itself, and the Buddhas will come together from all their countries, and with their shining hands will stroke the head of this benefactor. Verse 355. According to the philosophers, there is a reality born of no cause, neither permanent nor subject to annihilation, and removed from the alternatives of being and non-being, and this is imagined by them to be the middle path. 356. They imagine the theory of no cause, but their no cause is nihilistic. As they fail to understand the real nature of external objects, they destroy the middle path. 357. The attachment to existence is not abandoned for the fear of being nihilistic, and they try to teach the middle path by means of assertion and negation. 358. When mind only is understood, external objects are abandoned, and discrimination no more takes place. Here the middle path is reached. 359. There is mind only. There is no visible world. As there is no visible world, mind is not risen. This is taught by myself and other Tathagatas to be the middle path. 360. Birth and no birth, being and non-being, these are all empty. There is no self-nature in all things. The duality is not to be cherished. 361. Where there is no possibility of discrimination taking its rise, the ignorant imagine that there is emancipation. But as there is no understanding in them as to the rise of a mind, how can they destroy their attachment to duality? 362. As it is understood, there is nothing but what is seen of the mind. The attachment to duality is destroyed. Knowledge indeed is the abandonment, not the destruction of the discriminated. 363. As it becomes thoroughly known that there is nothing but what is seen of the mind, discrimination ceases. As discrimination ceases, suchness is removed from intellection, or citta. 364. If a man, seeing the rise of all things, yet perceives that nirvana is devoid of the faults of the philosophers, this is the nirvana as held by the wise, because of its not being annihilation. 365. To realize this is said by myself and other Buddhas to be the attainment of Buddhahood. If there is any other discrimination, one is committed to the philosopher's view. 366. Nothing is born, and yet things are being born. Nothing dies, and yet things are passing away. All over millions of worlds, what is seen simultaneously is like a lunar reflection in water. 367. Unity being transformed into plurality, rain falls and fire burns. As a mind is changed into many thoughts, they declare that there is mind only. 368. Mind is of mind only. No mind is also born of mind. When understood, varieties of forms and appearances are of mind only. 369. By assuming Buddha forms, Travaka forms, Pratyeka Buddha appearances, and varieties of other forms, they declare mind only. 370. For the sake of beings, Buddhas show forms by means of no form. From the world of no form and of form down to the hells where hell dwellers are. And all this originates from mind only. When a spiritual revulsion takes place in them, they will attain the samadhi called Maya-like, the will body, the 10 stages of self-mastery. 372. On account of self-discrimination, which causes errors and sets false reasonings in motion, the ignorant are bound up with the ideas in which they see, hear, think, or understand. 373, from chapter 2, verse 197. According to the form of relativity, there are those names that belong to false imagination, and the various aspects of false imagination arise from relativity. 374, from chapter 2, verse 198. When well pondered with intelligence, there is neither relativity nor false imagination. Where perfect knowledge is, there is nothing dualistically existent. For how with intelligence can discrimination take place? 375 through 378, from chapter 2, verses 199 through 202. Where perfect knowledge is, the existent cannot be qualified with being and non-being. In what cannot be qualified with being and non-being, how can there be these two thathafas? Because of false imagination, the two thathafas are established. Where there is false imagination, multitudinousness of things is recognized, which being purified, the spiritual condition of the wise obtains. Where there is false imagination, there is multitudinousness of objects, which are discriminated under the aspect of relativity. If otherwise discriminated, one becomes attached to the teachings of the philosophers. What is imagined, being subjected to further imagination, there are various views from which rises the doctrine of causal origination. When the dualistic discrimination is got rid of, there indeed is perfect knowledge.